Hi everybody, I'm Bill Sanders and this is Watch Art Sci, the art and science of watch collection. Today I want to talk about a relatively new company that may be sort of filling in where ETA left off. As you may or may not know, over the past, really been 20 years now, ETA, or actually this watch company, has been pulling out ETA movements from all but Swatch owned companies. So if Hamilton and some of the other ones that use ETA movements. Now, it used to be ETA was used by so many different watch companies. When they made that announcement, it was a big shock to the whole system. And since then, the question has been, well, what are you going to do? Who are you going to use? And one of the things that was created is sort of or taken over and restructured was a little company called Kenissi. Dun& Bradstreet had them, I think it's in 2016, with 6 employees. Now, that's not a very big company. And when we start looking at it, we find a lot of really interesting kinds of relationships. Now, as you know, Rolex owns Tudor, and Tudor is started having Kenissi make some movements for them, and then they bought certain amount or restructured, did something to it that was really different. And then Chanel comes along and picks up 20% of Kenissi. We'll take a look at some of the stuff that they did too. Now, along the same time, some other stuff was happening. Breitling, who had a deal with Tudor to make what came to be known as the B01, they had a watch movement on the Tudor side, which was called the MT5621. And this was perhaps something that Kenissi had some kind of involvement with. Now, the funny part about it was, before then, Kenissi was identified as a company making sapphire glass for watches. So this is it's a real interesting mystery. But in, I think it was 2017, when Breitling was purchased, the guy who was the head of overseeing the development of Breitling's movement is a guy named Jean-Paul Girardin. He is now working for Kenissi. And also, there's another company called Norcane, a relatively new one, that makes primarily sports watches, whose all of their movements they're getting from Kenissi. Recently, Jupp Philip, who purchased Fortis not too long ago, has announced that he's been working with Kenissi to make the movements for the Fortis watches. Chanel, as I mentioned before, who owns 20% of Kenissi, they've already had one of their movements made by them. So here's the thing that's important. There's a structure, I'll call it that, called Comco, and it's the Switzerland's antitrust regulator. They were the ones that stopped back in, it was right around 2000 when ETA said they're only going to be making movements for Swatch-owned companies, and they said, hold your horses, we're not going to allow that. And so all of these companies working together had to be very careful to stay on the right side of Comco. And so companies like Fortis, if they're making it for them, Norcane, which was relatively new company that sort of sprung up. Now, Chanel also owns 20% of FP Journe. So you have some really power players here, and then plus along with Rolex. Rolex has the land that they're building a new center for making movements for Kenissi. I think it's in Les Sentiers. Okay, so here you have Norcane, and here they have 2 movements now. One is called the NN201. It's a three-hand manufactured movement. There it is on the top up there. This was one of the watches they had. They sold it out pretty quickly. They had some good prices on it. And then on the bottom is their GMT, which is known as the double N20/2. It's called the Freedom 60 GMT. These are ones by Norcane with actual movements by Kenissi. Now, the one that was made for Chanel is called the Caliber 12.1. This thing is just a gorgeous movement, and the J12 had been using ETA movements and God knows what other kinds of ones, but this one was one. Now that they own part of it, they could get a pretty nice caliber. So, and now with Fortis coming in, it's going to be interesting. This is something I think I sort of thought, well, maybe they're a little company that aren't going to be doing a lot, but there's a lot going on, and I'm really interested to see what's coming out of there. And they're considered to be making some high-end, some of the higher-end movement, not just sort of the bottom of the barrel. So let's see what happens. Let me know what you think. And until next time, this is Bill Sanders for Watch Art Side, the art and science of watch collection.